My name is Olivia Sterling. I am 28 years old. 13 years ago, on a stormy October night, my father looked me in the eye and said, "Get out. I don't need a sick daughter like you." I was 15, soaking wet, with nowhere to go. The reason was simple. My younger sister had told a lie, a calculated and deliberate lie that my parents believed without question, and just like that I was erased. 3 hours later, the police called them to a hospital. I had been hit by a car. When my father walked into that hospital room and saw who was sitting beside my bed, his hands would not stop shaking. The woman there was Dr. Eleanor Smith, one of the most respected professors in the state. She had found me on the side of the road and saved my life. That night changed everything. Last month, I stood on stage at my sister's graduation ceremony as the keynote speaker. My parents had no idea I was coming. Let me take you back to where it all started. I learned early that in our house, Madison's tears were louder than my achievements. When I was 11, I won first place at the regional science fair. I ran home with the blue ribbon and burst through the door. "I won," I shouted. Mom hugged me. Then Madison walked in from dance practice, crying that she'd messed up a step. Mom's arms left me instantly, and she knelt down to comfort Madison. I stood there holding my ribbon. Nobody asked to see it. That was the pattern for years. Madison needed more attention. Madison was sensitive. I learned to celebrate quietly, to need less. When I was accepted into a prestigious summer science camp on full scholarship, Madison burst into tears that it wasn't fair, and Mom asked me to skip it for her sister's sake. I didn't go. I learned to be small, quiet, undemanding. The lying started small, Madison borrowing my things and denying it even with proof in plain sight, Mom sighing and telling me not to start fights. Then $50 went missing from Mom's wallet, and Madison said she'd seen me near the purse, though I had left for school early. I lost my phone for a month, and the camp opportunity vanished. Madison watched from the stairs, and when our parents weren't looking, she smiled. That stolen $50 had been a test run. The pattern kept escalating: a broken vase, a failed test, a rumor at school, always somehow my fault. I stopped defending myself. They believed her tears over my truth every single time. By 15, I felt like a ghost in my own house, there only when they needed someone to blame. Then, in October of my junior year, there was a boy at school, Jake, who I had stayed after class to help with chemistry a few times. That was all. Madison had an obsessive crush on him. On Tuesday, he thanked me at my locker and asked if we could study together. "Sure," I said. I turned and saw Madison staring down the hall, her face pale. That night at dinner, she barely spoke. I should have known her silence was more dangerous than her tears. That Friday, a major storm warning went out. The rain started around 6. Around 8, I heard crying downstairs, loud and heaving. Then Dad's voice sharp. "Olivia, get down here now." Madison was on the couch, face buried in Mom's shoulder. Dad stood by the fireplace, arms crossed, face red. "What's going on?" I asked. Madison looked up, eyes swollen, and for less than a second I saw something cold behind the tears before it vanished. "Tell her what you told us," Dad said. "Why do you hate me?" Madison asked, and accused me of spreading rumors about her and Jake, of calling her a liar. "Don't lie to her," Mom said quietly. "Just don't." Madison pulled out her phone and showed Mom screenshots of vicious messages supposedly sent from my account. "I didn't write those," I said. "Someone's using my account." "Stop lying." Dad's voice cracked like thunder. She pulled up her sleeve to show a dark bruise. "Last week you pushed me on the stairs," Madison said. "I never touched you," I said. "I don't know how she got that bruise. Maybe she did it herself." The words hung in the air. "Is this true? You've been bullying your sister," Dad demanded. "No, please just listen," I begged. "I've heard enough." His fist slammed the mantel. "I thought we raised you better than this," Mom said. Madison sobbed into her hands, the perfect picture of a victim, and for one moment she looked at me with eyes that were dry and calculating. "You're lying," I whispered. "I'm not," Madison said, and her voice didn't shake. I begged Dad to believe me, telling him Madison was doing this because Jake didn't like her. "I don't want to hear another word," he said, his voice flat. "You're sick. Something's wrong with you." The word hit like a slap. I need you out of my sight, he said, pointing to the door. It's storming, I said. I don't care. Get out. I don't need a sick daughter like you in this house. I looked at Mom, begging her silently to say something. She turned away, her arm around Madison. I grabbed my jacket, hands shaking so hard I could barely zip it. The door slammed behind me. Through the window I saw Madison watching me leave. She wasn't crying anymore. She was smiling. The rain hit me like a wall. I waited on the porch for Dad to come after me. The door stayed closed. I started walking, away from that house, away from Madison's lies, away from parents who believed I was sick. My phone was nearly dead and no one answered. The library was closed. I walked toward the bus station 2 miles away, shoes soaked through, teeth chattering, telling myself maybe Dad was right, maybe something was wrong with me. I didn't see the headlights until it was almost too late. I was crossing at an intersection, the light green as far as I could tell through the sheeting rain. The car came out of nowhere, brakes screeching. I tried to jump back and wasn't fast enough. The impact threw me sideways, my head cracking against the asphalt. Pain exploded through my skull. I couldn't move. I heard footsteps splashing through water. A woman's voice panicked. Sweetheart, can you hear me? Don't move, I'm calling 911. What's your name? I managed to whisper, my parents. They don't want me. They kicked me out, said I'm sick. Her face changed. You're going to be okay, she said, her voice shaking. I promise. Sirens grew closer, and then everything went black. My first clear memory after that is sound, beeping machines, antiseptic, and the voice of the woman from the accident, telling someone I had a severe concussion and possible internal bleeding. I'm not leaving her alone, she said firmly. I'm the one who hit her with my car, she told a nurse. I'm staying until her parents arrive. I drifted in and out. At some point I heard my parents' voices. We're Olivia Sterling's parents, Dad said, sounding strained. I'm Dr. Eleanor Smith, the woman said, cold and professional, Dean of Graduate Studies at the State University, and I'm the one who hit your daughter with my car tonight. It was an accident. We don't blame you, Dad said quickly. She was 15 years old, alone, in a storm, Dr. Smith said. Why was she out there? Silence. We had a family situation, a discipline issue, Dad said. What kind of discipline issue involves putting a child out in a storm? Your daughter told me before she lost consciousness that you told her she was sick. You're lying, Madison's small voice cut in. She was barely conscious, Dr. Smith said. I need to speak with a social worker now. That won't be necessary. We're her parents. We'll handle this, Dad said, trying to sound authoritative and failing. With respect, sir, you've handled it enough, Dr. Smith said. The moment you sent a minor out into a storm, this stopped being a private family matter. A police officer joined in, asking why I hadn't been home during a major storm. I managed to flutter my eyes open. Everyone out, Dr. Smith said. She's our daughter, Dad started. And I'm the doctor in this room, she said. Out. The door closed. I felt her hand on mine, warm and protective. You're safe now, she whispered. I promise. When I woke fully 3 days later, my parents were gone, but Dr. Smith was still there. She had kept her promise. She came every day, brought books, talked to me about college and science and futures I had never imagined. My parents visited once, brought a bag of clothes, stood at the foot of my bed like strangers. We're glad you're okay, Mom said. Neither of them said sorry. Neither asked if I wanted to come home. Madison didn't come at all. On day 5, a social worker named Rita came with kind eyes and gentle questions. I told her everything. You have options, Olivia. You don't have to go back, she said. Dr. Smith stepped in. She could stay with me, temporary foster placement, if you want. I've already started the paperwork. Why would you do that? I asked. You don't even know me. Because someone once did it for me, she said. When I was 17, my family kicked me out, and a teacher took me in and changed my life. You're brilliant, Olivia. Don't let anyone tell you you're sick. I made my decision in that hospital room. I chose different. 6 months later, I was a different person. Dr. Smith's house was quiet, full of books and plants and soft music. She gave me the guest room and told me to call her Eleanor. I transferred schools and started fresh. No one knew about Madison, about being the sick daughter. Eleanor exposed me to a new world, university lectures, dinners with professors discussing policy and equity. Education is freedom, she'd say. Knowledge is power. No one can take that from you. I threw myself into school. Eleanor taught me about grant writing, about systems built to help kids whose families fail them. You're going to do something important someday, she told me once. I heard through mutual friends that Madison was still the golden child and that my parents had removed every photo of me from the house, as if I'd never existed. Good, I thought. Let them erase me. I'm building something better. I majored in education policy and social justice in college, interned at nonprofits, learned how programs started and how money moved. I graduated summa cum laude. Eleanor cried at my ceremony. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. I was hired as a research coordinator at Eleanor's University. At 25, I had an idea, a scholarship program for students from difficult family situations, kids who'd been kicked out, neglected, kids who needed a second chance. I called it the Second Chances Scholarship. Eleanor helped me write the grant proposals. We launched a pilot, then expanded to 5 universities. By 27, we had awarded over $200,000, helped 47 students stay in school, stay alive, stay hopeful. Local newspapers and education journals took notice. I gave interviews, always told my story vaguely, never naming names. One day, my colleague David Brooks told me I was being considered as keynote speaker for a graduation ceremony. Which university? I asked. Riverside State. My stomach dropped. That's my sister's school. The president had specifically requested me. Would I have creative control over my speech? Complete control, David said. I thought about Madison in her cap and gown, about my parents in the audience, still believing they'd made the right choice 13 years ago. I thought about standing on that stage and telling my story, not for revenge, for closure. That night, I laid it out for Eleanor. They have no idea I exist in this capacity, I said. I want to close the chapter properly, not with anger, with truth. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because my story matters. Then do it on your terms, with your head held high, she said. Show them who you are now. I never saw Madison in person before the ceremony, but social media made ghosts visible. Her senior year was documented in filtered photos and captions about grateful, supportive parents. There were no photos of me anywhere, no mention of a sister. Through old acquaintances, I heard Madison say in a group chat that the keynote speaker was supposed to be good, but those speeches are always so boring, whatever, it's my day. I smiled at that. Not for revenge, just proof she had no idea what was coming. I wrote my speech over 2 weeks, read it aloud to Eleanor a dozen times. Don't mention names, she advised. Tell the story. Let people connect the dots themselves. The night before, I couldn't sleep. Eleanor came in with tea. Second thoughts, she asked. Just thoughts, I said. You're not the girl they threw away, Olivia, she said. You're the woman who built herself back up. Remember that tomorrow. The campus was beautiful that morning, families taking photos, the air buzzing with excitement. Backstage was controlled chaos. I scanned the graduate program. There, row 3, Madison Sterling, Bachelor of Arts, Communications. My heart kicked against my ribs. Eleanor arrived in an emerald dress and hugged me tight. You've got this, she said. President Walsh stepped to the podium. Today we celebrate achievement, resilience, and the boundless potential of our students, he said. Our keynote speaker has dedicated her career to ensuring every student, regardless of circumstance, has access to opportunity. Please welcome the director of the Second Chances Scholarship Program, Ms. Olivia Sterling. I walked onto the stage and found Madison in row 3, clapping and smiling. Then she looked up and saw me. Her hands froze mid-clap. Confusion crossed her face, then recognition, then shock. Behind her, my parents were still clapping politely, not yet registering whose voice they were about to hear. I reached the podium. Good morning, I began. Today I want to talk about resilience, about what happens when you lose everything and find yourself anyway. Let me tell you about a 15-year-old girl who was told she didn't belong, that she was too broken to keep. One night, In the middle of a storm, she was put out, told she wasn't wanted anymore. Whispers rippled through the crowd. She wandered alone for hours and was hit by a car, nearly dying. Madison had gone completely still. But someone stopped, I continued. Someone saw potential where everyone else saw problems. That person became her family, her mentor, her mother in every way that mattered. That 15-year-old girl was me. The auditorium went silent. Dad stood up halfway. Mom pulled him back down. Madison looked like she wanted to disappear through her chair. I'm here today because Dr. Eleanor Smith didn't give up on me when my own family did, I said, gesturing to Eleanor. She taught me that rejection isn't the end, it's a beginning. The Second Chances Scholarship exists for students who've been told they're not enough, who've been dismissed, abandoned, cast aside. I looked directly at Madison. Being rejected doesn't define you. What you do afterward does. Today, that scholarship has helped 47 students like the girl I used to be. Family isn't always biology, I went on. Sometimes it's choice. Sometimes it's the people who choose you when others walk away. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need one person who sees past the surface, past the accusations, past the lies. Madison's face crumpled. She looked down, shoulders shaking. And success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about building something meaningful despite them. To the graduating class of Riverside State University, I leave you with this. Your worth is not determined by who stays. It's determined by how you grow after they leave. You will face rejection, people who underestimate you. That's guaranteed. But you get to decide what happens next. You get to choose who you become. The applause built into a standing ovation, though not everyone stood. Dad stayed seated, pale, hands over his face. Mom stood mechanically, tears streaming. Madison didn't move at all. I walked off stage and breathed. The ceremony continued. When Madison's name was called, she walked up with a tight, forced smile, hands shaking, and the applause was thin and scattered. She disappeared back into the crowd of graduates, her friends huddling around her, talking urgently while she shook her head, trying and failing to explain. After the ceremony, I found Eleanor in the reception area. You did it, she said, hugging me. How do you feel? Free, I said. David appeared, asking if I was okay. They're asking to see you, he told me. My parents at the side entrance. I straightened. I'll talk to them on my terms. 5 minutes. They stood by a pillar, Dad's face gray, Mom's makeup smeared, Madison hovering behind them, eyes red. You wanted to talk, I said, stopping 3 feet away. We didn't know you'd be here, Dad said. I'm sure you didn't. We owe you an apology, Mom said. You owe me a lot more than that, I said calmly, but an apology is a start. We made a mistake, a terrible mistake, Dad said, his voice cracking. You should have protected me, I said. That's what parents do. Can we talk privately as a family, Mom asked. We're not a family, I said gently, not cruelly, just factually. You made that clear 13 years ago. We can fix it, Dad said desperately. There's nothing to fix. You made your choice. I made mine. We're done. Olivia, Madison broke in, quiet. I'm sorry. I was 12, I was stupid. You were old enough to know what you were doing, I said. David appeared with a folder of scholarship applications, and I let my parents see it. Their faces changed at the numbers, the photos, the testimonials. You really did all this, Dad asked. Despite everything, I said. President Walsh joined us, oblivious, telling my parents they must be so proud. They are, aren't you, Mr. Sterling, Eleanor said smoothly. Very proud, Dad managed. We had no idea, he said to me after Walsh left. You never asked, I said quietly. You erased me, pretended I never existed. Madison's friends approached, uncomfortable. Is that really your sister? You told everyone she died, one said. It was easier than explaining, Madison admitted. Easier than explaining what? That your family kicked her out, that you lied about her? I'm so sorry this happened to you, another friend told me, and they walked away, leaving Madison alone. I wanted to tell everyone the truth so many times, Madison said, tears falling, but I was scared everyone would hate me. They were right to, she added. I don't hate you, I told her. I forgive you for my own peace, not yours. But I don't want a relationship. I need you to respect that. You made choices for 13 years to keep lying, to keep me erased. That's not childhood stupidity. That's who you became. Can we go? I asked Eleanor. Let's go home, she said, linking her arm with mine. We walked away and didn't look back. The week after graduation, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Voicemails from Dad, rambling emails from Mom full of apologies and excuses about stress and Madison going through a phase. I didn't respond. The ceremony had gone viral. Someone had recorded my speech and posted it. Comments flooded in, praising the message, but also asking what had happened to the sister. I ignored them and focused on the scholarship applications pouring in. Then an email arrived from one of Madison's former friends. You deserve to know. Screenshots showed Madison's friends distancing themselves, uninviting her from a wedding, calling what she'd done psychotic. Part of me felt a small twinge of guilt. The larger part felt only relief. 2 weeks later, Dad showed up at my office unannounced, looking 10 years older. Madison told us the truth, finally, last week, he said. She broke down, confessed everything. 13 years too late, I told him. Can you forgive us? Forgiveness isn't the issue, I said. Trust is, and that's shattered. There's nothing you can do. It's too late. 3 days later, an email arrived from Madison. I was jealous, so jealous of you, she wrote. You were smart and capable and people liked you without trying. When Jake liked you instead of me, I snapped. I planned the whole thing, the screenshots, the bruise. I knew Mom and Dad would believe me. They always did. I've spent 13 years lying to everyone, telling people you died because it was easier than admitting what I did. I have no real friends now. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking you to know I'm sorry. I read it twice, saved it, didn't respond. After several more increasingly desperate emails, I sent one short reply. Madison, I accept that you were young, but you had 13 years to correct it. You chose to keep me erased. I forgive you for my own peace, but I don't want contact. Please respect that. She stopped emailing. My speech kept spreading. A local news station interviewed me about the scholarship program, focused entirely on the students. Applications tripled, funding requests poured in, a national conference invited me to speak. You're changing systems, David said. The State Board of Education sent formal recognition for my contribution to educational equity. Madison's social media went quiet, then private. Dad sent one final email. We're proud of you, even if we have no right to be. I didn't respond. Eleanor and I flew to Chicago for a conference and presented together. You've built a good life, she said over dinner. I am, because of you, I said. No, she said, because of you. I just gave you a chance. You did the rest. 1 year after Madison's graduation, the scholarship program was in 10 universities, helping 83 students stay in school, stay alive, stay hopeful. I was promoted to senior director. I dated someone for a while, a kind man named Marcus, and it ended amicably. I was learning not all endings had to be painful. Eleanor turned 60, and we threw a party full of colleagues and students she'd mentored, people who had chosen each other, built family around each other. I gave a toast to the woman who taught me that family is built, not born. Thank you for choosing me, I said. She cried happy tears. They sent a Christmas card with no return address, just 3 signatures and no message. I put it in a drawer, didn't throw it away, didn't respond, just acknowledged it existed. I spoke at another graduation. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors you control, I told the students. Afterward, a young woman approached, tearful, 20 years old. That was my story too, she said. My family kicked me out at 16. I thought I was alone. You're not alone, I told her. You're surviving, and that's more than enough. She hugged me tight. I drove home that evening to the house I shared with Eleanor, my real mother, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Complete peace. People ask me if I regret that night, the storm, the pain, the hospital. I don't, because it led me here, to this life, this work, this family I chose. Not every story has an ending like mine. I know I'm lucky. Dr. Eleanor Smith found me, chose me, saved me. Not everyone gets that. But everyone gets to set boundaries. Everyone gets to decide who has access to them. You don't owe toxic people your presence, not even if they're family, especially not if they're family. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You can forgive someone for your own peace while still keeping them out of your life. Those aren't contradictory, they're both necessary sometimes. Blood doesn't make family. Choice does. Consistency does. Showing up does. Eleanor showed up every single day for 13 years. She earned the title of mother. My biological parents showed up once, failed, and never tried again. That tells you everything. Success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about building something meaningful despite them. The scholarship program wasn't revenge. It was purpose, turning my pain into something that helps others. Your worth isn't determined by who stays. It's determined by how you grow after they leave. Some people will always underestimate you, reject you, tell you you're too broken, too sick, too much, or not enough. That's their limitation, not yours. You get to decide what happens next. You get to choose who you become. I chose to become someone who helps kids like me, kids who need a second chance, kids who deserve to know they're worth saving. That's my legacy, not the family that threw me away, but the family I built afterward. The storm that almost destroyed me became the catalyst for everything I built. I'm 28 now, the same age as when I started telling this story, but I feel older, wiser, whole. My parents' names are still in my phone. I haven't deleted them, but I haven't called either. They exist in my past, not my present, and definitely not my future. Madison sends a message every few months, short and apologetic. I read them and don't respond. Maybe someday I will. Maybe not. Either way is okay. Dr. Eleanor Smith is mom now, not Dr. Smith, just mom. She's the emergency contact on every form, the person I call when something good happens, the one whose opinion matters. Blood didn't make her my mother. Choice did. 13 years of showing up, of believing in me, of loving me when I couldn't love myself. That's family. Every year on October 15th, the anniversary of that storm, I drive past my old house, not to punish myself, just to remember. I park across the street and look at those windows, that door, and I think, that girl survived. She survived being called sick, being thrown away, being told she was too broken to love. And she didn't just survive. She thrived. If you're in a storm right now, metaphorical or real, know this. You can survive it. You can even thrive after it. Just because someone gives up on you doesn't mean you give up on yourself. Set your boundaries. Choose your family. Build your purpose. And never let anyone tell you you're too sick, too broken, or too much. You're exactly enough.